Hey kids, Flexing Teacher Weber here. Hope you're having a good day. I wanted to do a video of what we've been doing recently in math. What we started out doing a couple days ago is I gave the kids a problem and I put them in groups and I gave them some squares, 16 squares exactly. And the problem was Mr. Weber wants to build a patio in his backyard using square blocks. How many different sized rectangular or square patios can he make if he has 16 blocks and he must use them all? And I asked them to build and draw the different combinations. So the kids played around for a while, and this is what they came up with. They came up with one patio that looked basically a square. It was a 4x4 patio, and that used 16 blocks. We could say that's a 4x4 patio. And then they came up with one that was more of a rectangle. It had a short side of 2 and a longer side of about 8. And I'm just estimating here. So this was a 2x8 rectangle that used 16 blocks, and we'd say that's 2x8. We talked about dimensions of things. And then finally, the last one they came up with was like a really long, narrow. This wouldn't really make a great patio, but it might make a great walkway. And this was 1x16 patio. And I asked the kids to find the pattern, and what the pattern was is that these are all the numbers that multiply, all the whole numbers that multiply to 16. So then what I asked them to do the next day is I asked them, could you do the same problem with 20 patio blocks? But I didn't give them the squares this time. And they came up with this situation. They came up with what might be called the other side, 4x5 rectangle. That would use 20 squares. We would say that's 4x5. And they came up with a narrow one, one that looks something like that. That would be 2x10, or 2 times 10. And then the last one they came up with was a really, really narrow one, like that. Again, more of a walkway than a patio, and that would be, I don't really like that. I'm trying to draw these freehand, there we go. 1x20, or 1 times 20. And again, those are all the numbers, the whole numbers that multiply to 20. And that's sort of what I was hoping the kids would find. They would find all the numbers that multiply to 16 and all the numbers that multiply to 20. And what we did today is we talked about how those numbers that we just found are called factors. Factors are numbers that are multiplied together to determine a product. A product is an answer to a multiplication question. So the factors of 16 are 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4. We only would have to put the 4 once because it's 4 times 4. The factors multiply to give 16. So what we started off doing is we started off looking at some different numbers and seeing if we could get the factors. So the first question I gave them is, what numbers can you multiply to get a product of 8? So I had them look at their multiplication charts and try to find all the answers of 8 on there. There's an 8, and there's an 8, right? And there's an 8 there, and should be another 8 somewhere on there. Yeah, there's an 8 right there, right? So all the numbers that multiply to 8, and I just had them list them. So they came up with 1 times 8, or 8 times 1, which is the same thing. They came up with 2 times 4, or 4 times 2, which is the same thing. And those are all the numbers, whole numbers, that multiply to 8. And then what I had them do is I had them put those numbers in order, number order, from smallest to largest. And I had them do something called use upside down rainbows to check your work. So if you take the number 8 and list the numbers in order, the factors of 8 in order, you would have 1 and 8. And I just have them do a little, it's called an upside down rainbow, to make the connection between 1 and 8, then a comma and a 2 times 4, make the connection that it's 2 times 4, and then look, the number in between 2 and 4 is 3. That's the only whole number in between them, and 3 can't multiply to give 8. So these are all the factors of 8. Once you have that middle pair, you know you've got them all. So then we did another one. I had them find all the factors of 12 and put them in number order. So for kids that maybe struggle a bit with their multiplication, I had them look on the multiplication chart to find all the answers of 12. There's one there, and one there. There's one there, and one there. And there's one there, and one there. So if they needed to, they could use their multiplication chart to determine the factors of 12. And the factors of 12 are 1 times 12, or 12 times 1, it's the same thing. 2 times 6, or 6 times 2, it's the same thing. And 3 times 4, or 4 times 3. And if we were to list those in order, we would start off with 1 times 12. Upside down rainbow. 2 times 6. Upside down rainbow. The next ones are 3 and 4. Upside down rainbow, and there's no whole number in between 3 and 4. So that's all of the factors of 12. Okay, and a couple more here. Another one. Find all the factors of 18 and put them in number order. Well, so I'll look for all the 18s on the multiplication chart. I see one here, and I see one here. I see one here, and I see one here. And there's another pair as well, but we'll talk about why they're not on there in a second. So all the factors of 18, well, from the multiplication chart, we have 9 times 2, okay, or 2 times 9. And we have 3 times 6, or 6 times 3. But the one that isn't on here is the easiest one, actually. It's 1 times 18, or 18 times 1. And the reason it's not on here, right, is because, of course, this multiplication chart goes up to 12 only. But that's okay, because it's easy to remember that 1 times itself will always be a factor, 2 factors of a number. If we're to list these in order from smallest to largest, we would have 1 and 18, 2 and 9. The next pair is 3 and 6. We're gradually getting to the middle. The only numbers between 3 and 6 are 4 and 5. Well, 4 won't multiply to give 18, and 5 won't multiply to give 18. So we know we have them all. And then we did one last question. Same idea, find all the factors of 30. Well, we know right away there's going to be 1 times 30. Okay? Or 30 times 1. Now, not all of them will be on the multiplication chart. So this one, I see 30 right here, and a 30 right there. And I see a 30 right here, and a 30 right here. So we have 3 times 10, or 10 times 3. And we have 5 times 6, or 6 times 5. The one that we're missing, though, is 2 times. Sometimes you just got to know these things. So 2 times 15 is equal to 30. Oops, that should be the other way around. So 2 times 15, or 15 times 2. Now, 30 is an even number, And so if I think of chopping it in half, that's 15. So 2 times 15 is 30. So if you list these out, 1 and 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and then 5 and 6. I forgot to do my, there's 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6, and there's nothing in between 5 and 6. So we have them all. Those are all the factors of 30. The kids, their homework today is to do a worksheet where they have to find a bunch of the factors of some numbers. Multiplication chart will help you some of the time, but not all of the time. Hopefully this video helped a bit. That's all for now. Flexing Teacher Weber, out.